I'm Tim Deeks. Welcome to the pathway to homelessness. How many times have you walked past some of the most vulnerable in the community and wondered what events in their life have caused them to fall into hardship? Who's to say if you or I would have been any different if we would have faced similar circumstances? At the end of the day, we are all human and we all have a pathway. So let's start walking.
What is your name?
My name's Craig, but people call me Turtle
Why do they call you Turtle?
because of the big bag on my back. If I stood up, you'd see me. I look like a turtle with my shell.
Where were you born?
I was born down. I'm from Melbourne, but I was born down near Mornington. I still don't know if I was actually born in Mornington Hospital or on the base my dad, army base my dad was at down there. But yeah, one of the two. But down there.
Where did you go to school?
I went to a few schools, but the main one I went to was Mill Park Secondary. I don't know if you know where Mill Park is, but it's like right out the northeast suburbs. When I was a kid, it was the very edge of the city, and 20 years later, the suburbs have grown out a lot more now, so it's not the edge of the city anymore. But pretty much the last tram stop on the 86 line. That's where I grew up.
What kind of student were you?
Yeah, depends on who you ask, I guess. But I was a bit of a shit, I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger, and Dad was off with the army all the time, so I only had Mum as the authority figure, and pretty much I could do what I want, not do what I wanted, but I could get away with a lot more. Also, I was angry, so I was, always getting in trouble at school, and ended up getting kicked out pretty early. So yeah.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I got two sisters, younger. We're all 2 years apart. So there's me. There's the next one is 2 years under me. The next one is 2 years under her.
When was the last time you saw them?
Like saw them face to face. Like I bumped into the youngest one about a week ago here in the city. The one just under me. I saw her. No, I didn't see her at Christmas. Christmas before last Christmas.
What are they doing for work?
The sister just under me, she's married and lives right out in Whittlesea. And the youngest one that I bumped into in the city the other day, I think she's doing not like a course in social work and stuff like that. Yeah.
When was your first experience with homelessness?
Like when did I become homeless, you mean? I know it's over 8 years. It could be closer to 10. I've kind of lost track of how long it's been because it's but every day is the same, so it becomes one big memory, So it's 8 to 10 years around that.
How did you become homeless?
I was working as a bartender. I left my job on my home to go be with a girl up in a country or down in a country town, a place called Sale. It's in Gippsland in Victoria. So we got together and she convinced me to go live with her. So me being the idiot I am, I quit my job, I left my flat, spent all my money moving there to be with her. And then, she turned out to be really violent, was hitting me all the time, and I could do with her hitting me, but it got worse and worse, and, so she ended up stabbing me with a screwdriver, so enough's enough. I jumped on the train back to Melbourne and had nothing to come back to.
If you could have changed something about that experience, what would have you have changed?
I would have left myself a safety net, like to come back to. I wouldn't have just ripped my life up and moved. I would have left something, like I don't know, some savings in the bank or an apartment to come back to if it didn't work out or something. It's something to start my life off again.
What's a misconception about homelessness that a lot of people don't understand?
A lot of people have a preconceived notion that if you're homeless, that you're there because you're a bad person. You've done something bad, and that's why you're homeless. Or that you're a druggie, or that you're a whatever. There's something bad, and that's why you become homeless. When a lot of it is just circumstance. Like you've either made a. I mean, each homeless guy has his own stories. So I mean, one guy it'll be because he he's got a mental problem where he can't be inside. Women, it's normally domestic violence. They're running, and it's safer for them to be on the street than be at home. Um, yeah, so there's a whole bunch of ways. I mean, it could be that you made a couple of wrong decisions financially, and you ended up broke and couldn't pay the rent, and you got a bastard of a landlord who said you're out. And if you haven't got family and friends to fall back on, well, you're pretty much screwed.
What makes you happy?
Well, of course, I always say this, and it sounds really sappy and all that, but when you hear a baby laughing, and it's like really laughing, that always makes me smile. Like I see that a lot in here in the cafes and that you'll have a mum or a dad there playing with a baby, and the baby's laughing its ass off, and you can't help but smile at that. But other things are like when I've been going through a day asking for change, and I've had lots of real assholes, and they're ignoring me and telling me to piss off, and then you'll get that one nice person who's willing to stop and talk to you. That's good. Um, a shower, a shower always makes me happy. Little things, really, man. Like when you haven't got anything, like little things are big things to you. Like yeah, the things that you don't really think about when you've got a home, like being able to walk into another room and have a shower, or being able to walk into another room and pull food out of a cupboard. That's just normal for everyone, but yeah.
Have you had any moments, crazy moments on the
Oh,
street?
lots.
Has there been any that stick in your mind?
Yeah, there was a time, probably the worst time I got bashed. I was asleep down near the river, and I think it was, Melbourne Cup, horse races. It was during a week of the horse races, and I was asleep down near the river. I had my bag under my head sleeping, and these five guys that they're all in suits and all that, and they weren't business guys, they were guys that had been to the races, just came up out of nowhere and just started kicking into me, and belting me, and they took my bag and threw it in the river, and that had everything I owned in it, like all my ID, yeah, everything. And that would have been the worst time.
How did that experience change your life on the street?
Well, from that time, I never really slept. Went into deep sleeps now when I'm on the street. Even when I'm in somewhere, in a homeless shelter for the night, I still sleep fairly lightly. It's like you sleep for 15 minutes, you wake up, you look around, and you doze off, sleep for 15 minutes, wake up, look around, and yeah, before that happened, used to sleep straight through. Now I don't.
Is there a sense of community with the other homeless people, or do you keep to yourself?
Yeah, I keep to myself, but we all know each other. Like we'll all say, how's it going today? There's only one or two I don't get along with. And, I mean, and not that I don't get along with them. They just, don't like me for some reason or whatever. Doesn't really worry me. But yeah, most of us get along fine. We all know what each other's going through, and it's like we'll tell each other, oh, don't, you heard about the new suit van or whatever, and keep each other informed of what's going on, or oh, there's a thing you can do, a survey that they're doing up the road. They might give you $10 if you do it, and stuff like that. So most of us look out for each other.
What scares you about being on the street?
Sleeping at night and getting bashed. Um, getting the fact that it might become your life, yeah, that's about it.
It might seem really naive. Do you have any dreams of what your future might look like?
Yeah, not big dreams, just a roof over my head, a stable roof over my head where I know I'm not going to have to ever, leave as long as I pay rent and all that. Not something that's going to be like, okay, you're gonna be here for 2 months and you're gonna have to find somewhere else. You want somewhere stable. So yeah, roof over my head, decent job, and yeah, that'll be about it.
What job would you like to do?
Um, well, I used to do bartending, so I'd probably go back to that. But if I had a choice of any job in the world, it would probably be, the guys who build Lego for like displays and all that. I'm a big Lego fan there.
Lego Masters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like the
Yeah.
show. Yeah, or something to do with I don't know, graphic novels or books or something. I read a lot, so like not just graphic novels. I mean novels too. I read, but yeah, I don't know.
Do you have any favorite books?
Uh Favorite ones, like favorite comic books or favorite books.
Just anything you've read.
Comic book ever is 100 Bullets. Most people, not many people know it, but it's an awesome series. And then you got like Transmetropolitan, Saga. I like a lot of manga. There's lots of all the classic ones, like the ones that have yeah. And
What are your interests? What do you like to do? Obviously, it's hard when you're looking for shelter for most of the day. But what are some of the other things, if you had more time up your sleeve, that you'd like to do?
I'd probably start drawing again. Like I used to like cartooning and stuff, and drawing Looney Tunes, like smoking bongs or just doing stupid things. I'd probably start that again because I haven't drawn in ages. But any spare moment I get, I normally spend reading now. Just to escape. You know. Mm.
How has your experience on the street changed your relationship with money?
Um, it's made it so I appreciate having it more when I do, if I do have it. But I also realize it's not just money, but things that you don't really need them. It's like if you've got a roof over your head and a full stomach, and you're comfortable, nothing else really matters, mate. You don't need the latest clothes or the fucking what do you call it, or an iPad or all that fucking stuff that everyone lines up for. They go to the Apple store and line up. I mean, yeah, great, you've got the extra money to buy that and all that, but you're acting like that, if you don't get it, you're not as good as the guy who does have it. Yeah, so yeah, I've noticed it doesn't really matter, mate, really. I mean, it's good to have because it makes life easier, but yeah.
I guess I'd love to know what support you've received from various homeless organisations, whether it be here in Melbourne or across Australia.
Well, there's a lot of support for food. Like, there's lots of soup vans and places you can go to eat. Um, there's a few places you might can have a shower and stuff too. Um, Housing's a big problem though because there's just not enough of it, and you've got so many people all waiting on the same housing. So yeah, they're doing. I mean, you know, Australia does a good job at keeping their homeless alive while they're on the street, but it needs to do more about getting them off the street, not just keeping them fed and all that, and like keeping them in that one, same situation, still living on the street, And like, I'm not saying, oh, don't feed them and all that, of course, but yeah, they got to focus more towards housing instead of like food vans and stuff like that. Because there's more than enough of those now. Well, I reckon there is anyway.
Mm. Mm.
I wonder what you feel your future will be.
I'll be in somewhere. You know, like as long as you don't give up. You know, if you don't, once you give up and say, it's never going to happen, I'm going to be like this forever, then you're not going to put in the effort. You're going to end up just staying here. But as long as you know, take every opportunity that comes your way, you know, you will get back on your feet.
What motivates you to keep going?
Uh, what, just, I don't know. Just, I guess got no other choice really. Just got to keep going, you know. It's either that or sit on my ass and what? You know, nothing, you know.
If there was someone watching this and they found themselves in a similar situation, what advice would you give knowing that you could have done something different or lessons that you may have learned?
Lessons, well, the hardest part of being homeless is the first part, like when you're first homeless. It does get better. Like, well, that first week or two when you become homeless, it feels like the world is totally ended. You know, like you don't know what you're doing, you don't know, you know, where am I going to sleep, how am I going to eat, you know, this, that. And I've heard of people committing suicide over it and all that. But it does get better. You learn how to feed yourself or where the food is, and you learn where you can go to sleep and all that. And it does get better. And you learn that there are people out there that do care and do want to help, and you know, so that makes it better too, knowing that people do care. You know, because the worst part is thinking that no one gives a shit. You know, because you do get to feel like that a lot. You know, I mean, especially the looks you get from people, and you know, when you walk around asking for change and everyone's ignoring you and all that. It only takes that one person to stop and listen to you and talk to you, and then you're like, you know, someone does care. It's good, you know.
Gives you hope.
Yeah, it does. That's another thing that keeps you going is like people, nice people. You know, I always say like when you're on the street, it feels like you're invisible. You know, you're walking down the street, everyone's ignoring you. And then you walk into a bloody mall, and it feels like you're the only person visible because all the security guards are following you. You know, so it switches from out on the street to no one watching you. You walk into a mall, everyone's watching you. And then, meanwhile, while the security guards are following you, there's some lady filling up her pram, you know, stealing. They automatically think it's going to be you that's stealing. But yeah, it's funny. People have preconceived ideas of homeless people, you know. And I can guarantee you, most homeless people or people who are doing it rough are going to be the first people to get up and offer someone their seat on the tram or train. Or they're going to be the first person to offer help if someone needs it, because they know what it's like. You know, they've been there. Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks so much, Craig, for telling your story.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for listening.
So, Tim, how do you think that went? It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Just what a story! Like, just even his empathy, the way that Craig, despite everything that he's come up against, you know, still is so empathetic and still seems to care about others in such a beautiful way. You know, rainy day today. Tough. Yeah, that was really tough. That was a lot tougher. Tough.